Alex Aust, welcome to Connect with KT. Alex is a professional lacrosse player, world champion, Instagram guru, national champion, and big sister that I never had. Alex, welcome to the show. So I think the first thing that sticks out to me about our friendship is that now we're friends, and that's been great. And it's present day. But back in the day, people forget that you were playing at Maryland, and I was one of the tiny little fangirls in the stands.
I know. It's crazy to me. And I have to remind myself, I mean, I don't have to remind myself, but from time to time, will become like dated and realize how much older I am than you. But like, we actually are friends, like,
No, it's fine. No, it's not dated. We don't talk about age. Age is just a number. It's all good. You're 10 years older, but who's
yeah,
counting?
whatever.
Yeah. So, anywho, okay. So the first day that we officially met, I guess, is the day that we both went over to Taylor Cummings' house for that Instagram giveaway.
Yes.
And I remember I got called by Taylor to go be a part of this video, and I heard that you might come, but I was like, all right, whatever, like play it cool. And at that point, I had a big amount, not a big amount, a decent amount of like YouTube success. Like I was on my game.
Yeah.
And I remember I pulled up and I'm driving to find a parking spot. And I literally just see Alex Aust outside the car. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it was a very starstruck moment for me. And then we ended up just having a ball that day. And I mean,
Really connected. The rest is history after that.
yeah, that was really something. Okay, so first I think we're going to go ahead and dive into your Maryland career.
Okay.
Obviously, I mentioned that I was one of the little fangirls. At all the games, I used to spend my birthday party on May 18th every single year at the quarterfinals.
So cute.
Yeah, and so I think where we should start is that senior season.
Okay.
So one of the themes I want to get into for this episode specifically is mentorship. And that is one theme that we connect very well on because you're obviously one of my mentors in life. And another is that you have played the role of a senior leader, a veteran leader on a lot of your lacrosse teams. So with that team, you had Katie Schwarzman, Brooke Griffin, Kristen Lehman. Like that team was a dream team, stacked.
Yes.
So at what point in that season did you realize that you guys had something like extremely special?
I think at Maryland, what's really cool and unique is that everyone is truly given an equal opportunity, no matter what age you are, and everyone respects each other enough to know like it's competitive year after year. And I think it's kind of a good fear that I would have every year that like my coaches would text me and be like, this freshman class coming in is really good. And I would be pumped, but I'd also be like, this freshman is not taking my freaking spot. You know what I mean? So it's a really good culture there. And I think and I'm sure you felt the same way at USC, like in practice, there were so many people that were just like sneaky stars waiting to be unleashed. And I think my senior year, I was like, this is the perfect mix. Like we finally are like Taylor Cummings was a freshman when I was a senior. And the first day
that's crazy.
When she stepped on the practice field, I was like, this is the best lacrosse player of all time. I was like, right. And Katie Schwarzman was one of my best friends, and she was in my grade. And she, at that time, won the tour in the year before. She ended up winning our senior year too. So for me to even us two to realize like this freshman is something.
It's unreal.
Not to mention the 10 All-Americans in between. So it was crazy. It was, I mean, like you would think it would be like pressure, but it wasn't. It was just more like we were so excited and we just knew how good we were.
Yeah. So what do you think the biggest challenges like for a team like that are? I mean, like obviously you're number one. Everybody says like, we don't let it get to us. It's another day at work. Like I was doing research for this episode. I was like Googling your like interviews from that season, and you're like, you keep saying like, oh, it's just another day, just another team, whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, at what point seriously are you like we don't want to mess this up?
Never. I was really locked in. Like I think, and even maybe at times, I don't know. It was weird. Like it really didn't feel weird to me that we were undefeated. And because I was like, we're the best team in the country. Like I just knew like, I was like, if we lose, we beat ourselves. Like it was never like it's going to take someone else beating us. Credit obviously to Carolina having a great team and figuring out a way to beat us. But it was funny. Like I never really let it affect me because I had so much trust and confidence in my teammates. Like
Yeah.
I knew that if I had an off game, Brooke Griffin was going to pop off and have 6 goals,
Yeah.
or Katie Shorsman, like clutch, always was going to have my back. Taylor was good for something. Like we had Megan Dowdy and Alice Mercer on defense. Like that's insane, you know?
Yeah.
So we had Ileana Sansa, who was defender of the year before. Like it just, when you have that trust in your teammates, and you know how hard everyone's working every day. Like that's the thing I think people don't realize with Maryland is like, oh, they just get there every year. Like they get the best recruits. Like it's just so easy for Kathy. Like, no, we work our off like every day. And for 4 years leading up to that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, when you put in that work, you kind of have that confidence from the work and from the trust. And then you just gotta like, just let it go and just play at that point.
Yeah, because I remember like I would go to the games. Obviously, like I think the first lacrosse game I ever filmed, I think was a Maryland game. That was after your days, but Taylor was still on the team. But I just remember like watching, and it was almost like I, as a kid, expected like in that quarterfinal game every year, I just like expected to win. Like I remember it was like one year it was Duke, like the next year it was like whoever. Like I just it was always, even like I will say this past year when I was at USC and we made the tournament, we lost to Denver. Denver ended up upsetting Michigan, and then they went on to play Maryland. And I was like, I am praying for Denver, because I was like, this game is just like, for some reason, like it's just like a different level of poise almost.
Totally.
Like you guys just like look like it's like grown women like playing with high schoolers. Like,
and I think that comes from Kathy. Like she's been there, and like you trust that her and Caitlin and Kenneth have done every single thing in their power to prepare us, that like it, like, and it's just so crazy, but she just always says, it's all about us. It's all about us. It's all about us. Like, and I think that she trains us as women to kind of be that way in our lives too, where like, stay in our lane. Like, don't think about what other people are doing, because then you're going to go crazy, or you're going to get in your feelings, or you're going to get insecure. So it's like, stay in your lane, trust that you've worked hard, and know that you're a badass, and just go.
Yeah. So to dive in a little bit there with Kathy, a constant theme I feel like I see from the alumni at Maryland is like constant appreciation for Kathy Reese. Like Kathy Reese is the GOAT, like all over your guys' Instagram feed, story, everything. It's like, it definitely is a family. Like it definitely is. You guys love her. So how important do you think it was to have like Kathy at the helm, and how important do you think, like, I mean, how much do you think a coach can make or break a team's success, like when it's at that level?
You know, we like talk about that. Actually, it's so funny all the time. I'm surrounded by coaches with Marcus, his family, like, and all my friends. And it's like, what's the mark of a great coach? You know, like, is it winning, or is it all of your, you know, players loving you afterwards? Because there's plenty of teams that win a lot, but their players don't leave loving their coach. And I just truly think Kathy is both. Like, she wins and everyone loves her. Like, it's just, and I mean, to me, like when I go back to my decision making of like where I was going to college, she was the sole reason I went to Maryland. So I think it's you can't even put an amount on it for how vital she is to their success and their culture. And it's, for me, it's like, like you said, like she was just a mentor to all of us, and and like really showed us what it's like to be a strong businesswoman and leader, and how to empower other people. And so I don't know, I've never seen anyone, I mean, my dad always says male or female, Kathy Reese does it best. Like sport. And I think, like you said, like, what does it take? It takes managing egos, and it takes bringing the best out of every single person. Like, I'm sure you're watching the Last Dance stuff with like, and it's just, I like managing those egos it's
crazy.
It's the biggest piece, and that's what's so hard. And I just think she's mastered it.
I mean, from an outsider, I feel like definitely it's like it's almost, people feel like it's almost impossible to have both. Like you mentioned, a coach that loves their players to death and also is like extremely hard on them and like expects the best. And I feel like the coaches that get the best out of their players are the coaches that do both of those things the best, for sure.
For sure.
All right. So now we're going to go into the last game of your career at Maryland. I know you don't enjoy talking about
this. I'm okay with it.
I think I remember like one of the times we were hanging out and we were like just becoming friends, I like made a joke or something about like
get out.
No, you like got mad, and I was like, oh, it's fine, I'm really sorry. I was like, shoot, I don't know. Okay, so anywho, the 2013 national championship game, arguably one of the best lacrosse games, male or female, of all time. Easily.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I mean, it's not arguably. It's definitely. So you actually tied the game at the end of regulation, coming around the crease there.
Yeah.
Alex from Maryland, gotta love that. Bread and butter. So then the game goes to 3 overtimes, and it ends very suddenly.
Yeah.
And obviously that team, like we've been talking about, was poised for success, poised for a championship. Best team in the country, best team that lacrosse had seen in a little while. And to lose like that obviously must have been extremely devastating. But I just wanted to ask you, first, what is one of the things that you carry with you for the rest of your life from that game?
Yeah. So it took me a really long time to grapple with it. Like, talk about going through every scenario, like every play in my head, like literally waking up in the middle of the night and feeling like, oh wait, we won, right? And then remembering, nope, we didn't, like, and I remember turning in my defender during the game and being like, it just sucks that one of us have to lose, because it was just so epic.
That's
like,
sick.
Save, like charge. Like, it was, golden goal, and it was just crazy. So, the respect that I have for Carolina, and if I'm going to lose to anyone, like, that's the team, just at least for my era. And, but the one thing I will say, like, the biggest thing that I've really stuck with me and I try and take throughout everything I do, because like up until that point, like I said, like, we were the best captains we could be for that team. We did everything right that we thought was, we were supposed to do. We did all the right things. We trained, we supported people, this, that, and the other. However, there's a couple moments there in those last couple seconds, more specifically, Taylor Cummings has a 8-meter in regulation. And instead of just burying it in the back of the net, she passes to Katie Schwarzman. The pass goes a little high. She doesn't get a shot off, and the time runs out. And it's not just that one play. There's multiple plays. Like, I think in the end of that game, like, we were deer in the headlights. Everyone was just like, it wasn't the same, like, playing loose, trusting. It was like, holy crap, everything's on the line.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing, and I when I stayed and I was the director of ops, and I would text, Taylor, and I would text Alice, and I would text Brooke before every game, was just, if you feel it, say it. So like, I felt in that moment all the confidence in the world that Taylor was going to bury it, but she needed me as a leader and as a captain to say, Taylor, put that ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
That, because at the end of the day, we can all be confident in ourselves, but like, I know that, like, at least for Maryland, I didn't really feel my best until I felt that everyone else trusted me.
Yeah.
And so, or I felt Kathy trusted me, so I regret in certain moments not just pulling people aside and saying, like, I did it throughout the year, but like, when it matters, like, voice your opinion. Or even at the end there, like, to Brooke Griffin, she had a one-on-one with the goalie, and instead of just like looking her in the eyes, shaking her and being like, you got this. But we were all just so silent, So now it's like, if I really feel something, I'm like, I am the first person to boot you up and let you know, like, no, you got this, come on. Like, even if it's tension, like, because even if she misses, who cares? Like, we don't lose by me saying anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's definitely my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something that you've like taken throughout life, like like outside of lacrosse too, is just like kind of being there and like telling people like helping people realize that like they can do something they put their mind to, like helping people figure things out. Like that's definitely something that you have.
I appreciate that.
That's a good trait you have. Okay, so now you're out of college, fresh off the loss. Not great taste in your mouth from that, but it's like now I guess at the time there was no professional women's lacrosse, but you technically are a professional women's lacrosse player, even though there was no league. You guys were still competing for like USA spots, stuff like that. So I just want to know, gosh, so 2013. So what role, like, what was the lacrosse space like at that point in terms of like sponsorships, like anything?
Yeah.
And like, where was the money in lacrosse, would you say, in women's lacrosse at that point, or was there any?
Really wasn't. Like at that time, and this is so crazy, but like there were only like a few handful of like women's lacrosse players that had like sticks or like sponsorships. Like you had Jen Adams, who was massive on STX, or you had like Kelly Amante, who had like the Amante stick.
Yeah.
But there wasn't this like, okay, I graduate, like, who am I signing? It wasn't there yet. And I think it was really cool that like my senior year, Under Armour signed both Katie and I. Michelle signed with STX. And it was just like, it was just different. It was like, wait, what? Like, this is awesome. Like, you're going to give me money and you're going to put me in Under Armour clothes just because I play lacrosse. Okay. didn't really think about it, just was kind of like, of course I'm going to take this opportunity because there was nothing else like it. And at that time we were just like grinding. It was like, I was playing US, like you said, and it was more like camps and clinics and camps and clinics and lessons and all that
Yeah.
stuff, kind of how you made your money.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until a few years of like, and I will say like huge props to Under Armour. Like right when I graduated, they put me on this campaign that was like, I will what I want. And it was with like Lindsey Vonn and like a pro surfer. And I was like whole, like Kelly O'Hara, like all these like legit athletes that I was like, wow, it's really cool that they're putting lacrosse, let alone any like, me, but like a lacrosse player there. So I just feel like it took kind of those big companies to start to back it before it like really took off and was like, oh wow, there's actually money in this, or there is like a profession in this.
Yeah, for sure. And Under Armour, I know that they've done more of that with you since. Like you aren't just like an Under Armour lacrosse player. You like rep Under Armour. You're like on Under Armour women all the time. Like what has that relationship with Under Armour been like for you, and how have you kind of like navigated that?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been a roller coaster, not even because I mean they've been amazing throughout, but I just realized like I've been with them for 7 years, which
That's
is so
crazy.
crazy. And in some of those years, it was just lacrosse because it was like they would reorganize and I would be a lacrosse player, like, or then I would sign under women's. And so my contract was up like a year and a half ago now, and I was actually looking at other options, just trying to see, again, like you said, like there's just more out there now. And I wanted to see just like what people would offer me and what they saw use for me as. And they kind of came back and doubled down and were like, we want you to be now on like the women's training side. So that's like all the fitness stuff that I do. And it's just been incredible. Like the amount of like, we just shot this ridiculous campaign in LA and I got to bring one of my really good girlfriends, and I saw you out there. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy crap, like this is like real movie stuff. Like you're putting in all this money and like little old me is coming out there and hanging out. And I just think, I mean, I have to thank them so much for taking my career to where it is. Like I just have the level of visibility on my workouts, on my training, on my, even like a lacrosse player from being on Under Armour women or being on Under Armour. So it's crazy. I never would have thought it would have turned into this, but it's pretty awesome. I'm like so thankful for them.
Yeah. So like you said, the visibility aspect, obviously you very much enjoy making content, whether it be the occasional TikTok with Marcus. Those have been really good lately, by the way. I like the ones with the headphones, the Bose thing from that was good. That was really good.
He's so good at the lip syncing ones. I'm like, I can't like do it. I'm like off beat for how much beat I have in my body. I can't lips, but he's like incredible.
No, it's honestly like kind of ridiculous how good at content Marcus is. Like he's a very much like an unsung hero of content.
I know.
Yeah, like the TikToks, he's right on board there. It's crazy. Anywho, so content is a huge part of like obviously what you do now. It's like drives a lot of your business, but I just want to know, I guess, when you started with Under Armour, obviously Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, none of that really was a thing. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that was really like what you were spending most of your time on back then. So at what point did you kind of start to realize that like content, Instagram was like a serious avenue for your businesses? And like, how do you still use Instagram today to like help out your business?
Yeah. I mean, it took a while. Like I really was just doing it because it was fun and I liked doing it. And a lot of my following, I think, was like the Katie DeFeos that would come to the lacrosse games.
Let's go.
And like kind of grew up with me, like, and were like, oh, they like keep following me now because I still played for Team USA, or I post a lot about my, like what I'm eating or where I'm going or what I'm wearing. And so I just like really always loved sharing. Like I'm definitely like I get a new song and I blast it to my friends. I make a meal and I blast it to my friends. So Instagram was just kind of like my way to like do it to everyone. But it took a while for me to realize that like, oh wow, like I actually like doing this and I can make money doing it. It was kind of like I just did it because I liked it, which I think is the biggest piece of advice I give to people. And like you are like a perfect example of this. Like your vlogs, you were making $0 when you're an NCAA athlete. And like you did it because you were passionate and you love doing it. And like that shows. Like people can sniff out, and they can sniff out when you're just like like this is because someone's paying me, and like instead of just making it organic and making it like just you. And like I will say like huge props to you, because like beyond being just a complete pioneer in the like women's lacrosse world, like you inspire me and you inspire a lot of people to be themselves. Like you
Yeah,
just, I
thank
think
you.
Instagram can be so like curated and people are scared to like post certain things, but like the post I put up yesterday about like envy and jealousy, like I would have never done that if it weren't for someone like you that just literally throws up a vlog and like videotapes himself,
Yeah,
you know,
thank
like
you.
it's cool. Like it's
Yeah,
just, it's kind of a cool space we're in now where it's like going away from like the crazy curated like stuff to more just like I want to see what Alex and Katie are literally doing. Like,
yeah, and like what's on their mind. Like
yeah,
I think I would definitely agree that people can sniff out. Like in the first, when I started the vlog, like the whole thing was that the first one we did as a joke, like we were literally, it was like a joke, and then the second
yeah,
one we were like, oh, people liked it, like we'll just keep doing these, they're funny. Like it wasn't. And the no dollars thing, I kind of think like the NCAA thing, as much as I can complain about that for hours, I think it definitely did like help my authenticity, because like
yeah,
there was no way I was ever making money, so I was like, I
right,
might as well just be like my authentic self.
right. Well, and I think that's a really big like misstep of people is they're like, I'm gonna start a blog, how do I make money? Or like I'm
Yeah,
gonna start YouTube, how do I make
yeah,
money? And
yeah,
like
yeah,
you're not going to for a while
yeah,
unless you like do something crazy. So
yeah.
like if that's your motive, then like it's really not gonna work out for you
No,
because it's hard. Like you have
yeah,
to keep on it. Like, you know, like it's hard to post content or create content, especially on days when you don't really want a phone in your face or a
yeah,
camera
no.
in your face.
No, not at all. And I think people might get the misconception from like you or I might say that like this is our job, like this is something that we do for money, but that doesn't mean that we're only doing it or started it for money.
Yeah.
Like I think people just think like immediate returns, where like you have to honestly build like a very honest, authentic personnel on social media across all platforms before people are going to want to give you money.
Exactly. And like that's what I do think like you've done really well. I hope that I do really well is that like I am Alex Aust, that I am off camera and when I'm on camera. Like I don't think I'm two different people or like, you know, you don't really know me because I only show one side. Like I really do think we kind of both show it all.
I mean, yeah, we're literally like at one second we're doing like deep talks about jealousy and envy, and then the next we're doing TikToks on the. I remember we had that dinner out in LA when you
Yeah.
visited, and then we went. We tried to find a place to talk, and there was no place to put the phone down, and so we were like, all right, well. And I remember we were literally, it's like 9 at night. I have like homework, whatever. Like, I think I was. No, I wasn't on the team at that point, but I was like, we were walking around like Figueroa trying to find a place to
I
talk,
know.
and then we went up to that top floor of that building, and we're just dancing our off. Like if
Yep.
that's content, that's authenticity if in a nutshell. All right, so back to the mentorship thing.
Yes.
I think that again is something I wanted to touch on with you specifically. You played a huge role like when I was a kid and you didn't even know it, which is a crazy thing. Like back in the day, you were like you were the role model, like you were the lacrosse player, like you were the Maryland girl, like Maryland had all the attention, like regardless of no social media back then, like everybody
Yeah.
knew like all the players on your team. And I remember trying to find like I told you this all the time. Like I tried to find YouTube highlights of I would search Alex Aust highlights and nothing would come up because they didn't exist back then.
I know.
And that was like for me back then, you were a huge role model. And I think the cool thing is it's been like what, like almost 10 years and you're still like a role. Like when I have little girls come up to me at like a LaxCon or like at a WPLO game, like they're also coming up to you, which I think the span of that has just been incredible. Like 10 years of just like it's my generation and then it's the kids below us, and because you're
Yeah.
still in the pros. Like
Yeah.
so I wanted to know for you in lacrosse, who were some of your biggest role models when you were growing up?
So I like this question's tough
Okay.
because I didn't grow up watching lacrosse like you did. Like I live from Northern Virginia. This didn't really have like like you're so lucky that Maryland is just like in your
Oh,
backyard
it
that you
was
can
so
go
it was so
watch.
lit.
Like that's
Yeah.
so epic.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have any lacrosse role models, which is crazy. Once I committed to Maryland, I was
Yeah.
like, oh snap, like Dana Dobie's really good, like Caitlin McFadden's really good. Like I started watching them, but I really grew up like loving basketball players. You know, I'm a
There we
baller.
go. Let's
So,
go.
and or like, you know, like the 99ers, like that whole soccer team. Like for me, my role models have never been like sports specific. It's more so like just their work ethic and the way that they are dominant on the field or on the court. So it's
Yeah.
like I was obsessed with Tiger Woods. I was obsessed with Michael Jordan, obviously. Like
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Kobe, like Mia Hamm, like Brady Chastain, like those people because they just had that like killer mentality, like
Yeah.
that I wanted to emulate in everything I did. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like, it was like, oh, I watched this girl play lacrosse and I really wanted to like do what she was doing. It
Yep.
was more because I just didn't really watch it. It was more
Yeah.
like I watched like Michael Jordan take over a game and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. See, I think that's a cool way to come at the sport of lacrosse, because like there's a lot of like emulation in lacrosse, and like a lot of people like doing maybe like what has already been done, I guess you could say, or like
Yeah.
looking up to a certain player and like wanting to be exactly like them. But I think that is a cool approach, like just taking like the domination mentality from like another athlete and like bringing it to lacrosse.
Yeah. And like, you'll see like, even for me playing midfield in high school, and then like the only chance like for me to get on the field at Maryland was to transfer to an attack, like being an attacker.
Yeah.
Like same with Marcus, like he was a midi and then he went
Yeah.
to attack. And like for me to get on like the US team, I went from being a feeder to a finisher. Like it's just, you have to change. And like if you're so stuck in a mold, it's really hard to be open-minded. Whereas like lacrosse is so creative, and like
Yeah.
I was kind of like, it may not be pretty, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to get on the field and
Yeah.
be successful. So
Yeah, 100%. Because like if you have that like you said, that Tiger, Kobe, Jordan mentality, like you can play any position. Like it's like you
Right.
just want to be the best and you want to win. Like it's
Right.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so then as you said, like Dana, Caitlin, like as you were in college more, starting to get more comfortable with your role as like a very good lacrosse player, like so who were some yeah, I mean there's no other way to put it. Who were some of the people in lacrosse, maybe on Maryland, maybe not, during
Yeah.
college, that you looked up to the most?
Man, so like lacrosse wise, I mean, Caitlin McFadden was a senior when I was a freshman, and she was just like the GOAT. Like she just could do no wrong in my eyes. Like
Yeah.
when I would be on the sideline, not in a game, like I felt like I could have a bowl of popcorn and just be watching her play. Like I was not like on her team anymore. I was a spectator.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
That's honestly how it is for me. Like when I was on USC with like some of my teammates, like
Like,
I literally,
they do things and you're like, what? I would never even think to do that. Like,
no, it's outrageous. Like I'll literally be sitting there in practice, like not going in the drills, whatever. Like, I mean, we've talked about that. And I will literally go and I'll just see like Kerrigan Miller, Izzy McMahon, like gracing the field. Like, and literally it's like some behind the back, like, and it's like things like if I'm going to do a behind the back in practice, like I've been thinking about it for like 3 days. Like, I've literally been like, all right, like I'm going to bed. I like ate my dinner. I'm like, tomorrow's the day, like first drill, like it's literally like they're in the 8, like, and they just think so fast. Just like, boom.
yeah.
Like, I'm literally like, this is insane.
Yeah, so she was a senior and I was like, you're incredible. And then this is funny. I remember, so Katie Schwarzman, we played together before we went to Maryland. And we played together at the Mid-Atlantic tournament. It was like the national schoolgirls tournament. And I knew she was going to Maryland, but we like weren't really friends. Oh, no, she hadn't committed yet. I hadn't either, but we were like, we just became kind of friends. She's the most quiet human in the world. So like, it was like, we were just cool, but like, same thing. Like I was like, this is the best lacrosse player I've ever seen. Like she was so fast. She would like shoot so fast. And I saw her do something like on the 8-meter, like literally take 1 step and shoot. And I was like, wait, what? Like you made that look so easy. And then I would try and get stuffed. And I was like, I just remember leaving that and being like, that girl was the best lacrosse player I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. She's going to be amazing wherever she goes. And then
with me. She a terp. Yep. All right. So like for kids now, obviously there's no lacrosse on, there's no sports on. We're in crazy uncertain times with this coronavirus. What do you think that a young lacrosse player, a young Alex Aust, a young Katie DeFeo needs to hear right now?
Oh man, I think just always again, like control what you can control. And I think it's like what I've been doing even for myself, and it's what I would tell an 8-year-old or 16-year-old girl is I would say, like, take this time as a time to work on your craft and work on your passion, because whether it's lacrosse, maybe it's, an instrument, whatever it is, like just take this time, because you don't want to come out of this. Now we've been in it for almost 2 months. You don't want to go in and come out of the quarantine the same exact person. You want to be different or be better in something. It can be something so small. Like, and I was talking to like my 8th grade team about it and they were getting all excited. I was like, how cool would it be if you came back and all of a sudden like, Parker is now a lefty and not a righty anymore. Like, you're like, what? Like, how did that happen? But it's like, when are you ever not going to play a game or see people where like potentially your mistakes matter. Like your mistakes do not matter right now. So get out there, get fit, like work on your offhands, like become faster, all those things, because like you failing right now in this quarantine, no one sees it, no one cares except for you. So like I just think, you know, find your passion, work on it. And it's not easy, and it's not like every day I don't wake up and I'm like super motivated, but like you can train yourself to get into those habits and just do it if you care, you know, like if you really want to be good at it, you want to be great, then you got to put in work.
I think for me, that's a big thing, that like what you said at the end about if you care. I think like when I was re-examining my life this past January and I was looking at like the things I was spending time on, and one of them being lacrosse and the other being content and family and social life and school and my career. And I was just like, I don't think I like at the end of the day, like people ask, why'd you quit? Whatever. Like, I just think I was like, at the end of the day, like, I don't think that I genuinely care enough to like be that good. And I think that's fine. Like,
and I think that's like the most respectful thing you can do for your teammates. You can do for yourself. And like, it's definitely like tough love and a little harsh, but like, I think I tell everyone that, like, figure out what makes you work, what makes you like tick and makes you happy.
What makes you get out of bed?
Yes. Because cause like, and I tell this to girls all the time, especially my club girls, like, if you don't love lacrosse now in high school, like you're not going to love it in college.
No. This is like the point where it's like, if you're having second thoughts and like, I think, I mean, I would never tell anyone obviously to like not, but if you're really not in love with it, like, because in high school, you're just playing with your friends and having fun.
Exactly.
And like, you're going to get breakfast before school. Like, it's just a vibe. Like, but in college, like, it is serious work.
It's a job. So you like, if you don't love going to practice every day and you to your parents about training, or you don't want to go out and put in the extra work, like tough love, but you're not going to love college. Like lacrosse, at least at the Division I level, like maybe look at Division II, Division III, because there's not as many time constraints, but you're not going to be able to, like, it's a full-time job. And if you hate lacrosse, you'll hate your life.
Yeah. And exactly. And there are other factors. Like there is the time commitment by itself, but then like if your freaking brother gets married, or if somebody close to you passes away, like whatever happens,
you
like
study abroad, like there's you don't have those options.
Like sororities people miss out on, like it's like even that, like, but it definitely is serious. So I think that's a good message. Like find what makes you tick, find what makes you get out of bed in the morning, like what you're passionate about, what you want to get better at, and like really go in on that. So obviously quarantine, we're talking about that. How people should like, you know, get better, do their thing. But I think one thing I'd want to tell everybody is that if they're bored after a workout, they should definitely go check out the Alex Aust Instagram account. And it's not only, so what I find on the Alex Aust Instagram account is workouts. You find couples content with Alex and Marcus. You find your thoughts every day spewed onto the story, which are very entertaining, very fun to watch. So what, like, I mean, I remember asking you about this when we were doing that, when I was helping you with the WPLL series, right before my junior year started. And I remember, or was that? Yeah, that was. And I remember asking you, we were like at Banditos, like getting tacos because we had spent like 5 hours doing it and we were both like, we need a break. So, and I remember asking you, I was like, how do you like acquire sponsorships, and how do you like, it's such a brand, like it's so like, right when you post, I know it was you that posted it, because it's like you have it all very like the same filters, like the same vibe, like it's just very like it's cohesive. So like at what point did your Instagram get like, I guess, to where it is today, and like how, I don't know, I guess like how much do you put into like your content programming and just like the vibe and like the essence of your Instagram?
Yeah. So I genuinely enjoy taking photos, filtering photos. Like I like that stuff. Like I'm very aesthetic, you know, with my stuff. So I really enjoy that. So it's not like a burden to me. There's plenty of stuff out there that like you can basically now with presets and stuff like that, you can make everything look exactly the same. But I'm just like tweaking things here and there. And I love like, I just think like once you find your niche, like just do it and stay in your lane. Like you don't have to, like you just said, like, or before when we were talking about this earlier, like you, even with like lacrosse, same thing with Instagram. Like you don't have to emulate a famous blogger because that made her successful. Like what makes you unique is that it's you and like your take on it. And that's not to say that I don't follow certain accounts where I'm like, I really like what she's doing here. I kind of want to do something but make my own twist on it. But it's like, find your inspiration, find those like little people or like accounts or things that like really get the juices flowing, and then just do it. As far as like planning goes, I think I've gotten a lot better. It's definitely taken time to like harness it in and really be intentional with it. But like I said, like just don't be so hard on yourself. And like I've given you, Katie, like a couple books to read. Like I think just educate yourself. There's a lot of accounts out there that are literally like how to navigate Instagram accounts and like how to grow your following and how to like, and every single one of them will tell you like, take care of your community. Don't think about numbers, like think about quality over quantity, not the other way around. And like have a niche, like have a reason, have a why. So like, but also like, don't just talk about yourself, like talk about your life, talk about your pets, talk about other things. Like, I think that's what's beautiful about social media is that it can be whatever we want, but like, I don't know. I just think people get so caught up in like one side of them and not everything else. Cause then you're kind of closing yourself off to like brand deals or anything that's just one side of you. Like you should, and like I think Marcus has gotten better, but like I try and tell him, he's like, I'm just a lacrosse player. I'm like, no, you're not.
No.
So much more to you. And like, but if you only post lacrosse stuff, then probably other brands won't realize that like, oh my God, he likes to travel. Let me put him in a hotel room in Tulum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's a very good message. Like that goes back to what we were talking about with the authenticity is like, if you're just like, you could be the best lacrosse player in the history of the game, but if you're only posting pictures of you playing lacrosse, like just like with your helmet on, like that's it. Like it's not a social media strategy. Like not, and I think the second that you start to open yourself up and talk about your friends, your family, like you said, your pets, like what you like to do, I think that's also helps with the authenticity piece.
Yeah. And like, how do you, I guess for like you, like, and I know you're like super outgoing, so am I. Like we don't really, we're not super shy, but like how did you get so confident with like just literally putting yourself out there? Like and I know your generation is different. You guys are a lot better at it because you do it more. But like I think that's the struggle with a lot of people is like, I'm scared, like they're gonna think I'm this, or I'm not wearing makeup, or I'm not this, I'm not that. Like you do a really good job of just like being you. Like how did you do that?
Yeah, well, so like at first it was kind of honestly like a little bit of a struggle, I will say. Like I always loved having a camera in my hands, but I never loved being on camera. Like I mean, I've talked about this like on other podcasts and like with other people, but and I'm sure with you, but like I get self-conscious about like my voice or like whatever, like the way I look, and like it's that used to always be like a thing that was holding me back. And but then when I started the vlog, honestly, like my freshman year at USC, I think it was my teammates that like helped me out of that, like because we were all kind of like, because we were making ourselves look stupid, like to be funny, like on the vlog. And like I remember like I was like, we're all in this together. Like it's like it was a very like group effort. Like I was never really vlogging alone, like putting myself out there alone, which I think I still struggle with a little bit, but like, and I've started to get better since I quit lacrosse. But like it was definitely like my teammates bringing me out of my shell a little bit there, like at the beginning. And I think that is like one of the ways that I just got so comfortable. And then I just kind of gave like I was like, I don't really give, like if somebody's gonna like if somebody's gonna take the time to like hate on me and like spend their day like commenting mean things about, like I don't care. Like I really don't care. Like I got to a place where I was like, I don't care.
And I think that's important too, like you said, like maybe it started with your teammates, but like bottom line is like you just have to practice. Like you can't just like, you're not gonna be good at it overnight. Like I don't know who's calling me, but you have to practice, and like you got the luxury of practicing with your teammates, so then like it made you feel comfortable. It's like, the band, the group, the boy band, and then like just really can break off because he got the confidence.
Yeah, exactly. All right, one more thing before we wrap up.
Yes.
I know you have a hard cutoff here at 3:55. Businesswoman, she's got somewhere else to be. So we're on the social media topic, and like you mentioned earlier, you just posted yesterday, I think it was, about the jealousy and envy, and that kind of you said you've never done anything like that. You like kind of just spewed your thoughts, and I actually listened to that while I was on my way over here to record this, and I found it very interesting. And I had a conversation recently with an old friend, and we were talking about basically how like success on social media is not like mutually like it's, if I'm successful, you can be just as successful. Like we're not competing for like the same thing. So I think a lot of times it gets to people's heads a little bit, and like they start to think of it as like this rat race. And I think that it's the opposite. I think everybody can really eat. Like, I think everybody's like the
Right,
term.
the pie gets bigger. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, exactly.
down.
Like, yeah, exactly. So what's one thing that you like to keep in the back of your mind? Like, maybe, I mean, you talked about this on your Instagram, and I'm sure people will go follow you after they listen to this episode, but what's one thing that you like to keep in the back of your mind when maybe you see something that somebody else has done or whatever it may be on the feed, and you start to maybe have those thoughts about it being a rat race? Because it happens to everyone. It happens to me. So like,
Yeah, of
what's
course.
one thing that you might tell yourself in like a time like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. One, I just tell myself that like if she's getting the opportunity, or he, whatever,
Yeah.
that means that they're only like breaking those barriers and going to open up more opportunities for all of us. So maybe I'm not the crusader that's the first to do it, but once that person does it, and if they're really successful at it, then those brands are going to put that much more money into it, right? And they're going to look for new people, and they're going to look to switch it up. So I think it's like, instead of like trying to think of like it as being, oh, why is it them and not me? Like, think of it as like, one, inspiring, like, holy crap, that person's crushing it. Like, I love the way they just did that. Take from it what you can learn and like how you can apply it to yourself. And then like work harder. Like, that's my thing, is like a lot of the times when I'm like jealous or envious, maybe a little bit, it's probably because I am not working as hard as I should on something that I know I can do.
Mhm.
Or like that person is doing it and I'm like, crap, like I should be doing that because but I know that I did not put in the amount of effort and work that that person did, you know? So, take whatever you can from it, take that inspiration, make it your own spin, and just grind, use it as inspiration. I don't know. I got no time to be jealous anymore. Like I used to be. And like, I think it's a part of maturing. Like, you have to mature and realize that like you said, like, it just because I have it doesn't mean you can't have it. You're just going to have it in your own way. And sorry, I'm rambling, but
No,
I
you're
also
good.
think if I'm only going to like think of like my happiness is going to be like when I get what you have,
Yeah.
then I'm limiting myself.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? I could do something that's even better than the person that has success right now on social media. So why, like, use it as inspiration, but like, if you want to be competitive and be like, great, now I know I can do that. Let me blow you out of the water.
Yeah, 100%. I could not agree more with that. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here. One quick thing that I have a little segment on this podcast at the end.
Okay.
It's called Braveheart, and
Ooh.
if you know how that goes in a lacrosse game, very high stakes.
Yes.
One wrong move, you're done. So Braveheart, I'm basically gonna say a word or phrase, and you're gonna tell me exactly what comes to your mind right away. And
Okay.
it's rapid fire. You have no idea.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Funniest WPLL player.
Molly Wolf.
Marcus Holman.
Love of my life.
Katie DeFeo.
My little sis.
College Park, Maryland.
Oh, Bentley's.
There you go. That's a good one. Archers Lacrosse Club.
Oh, Archers Lacrosse Club. I don't know. Orange is all I'm thinking of right now.
Kathy Reese.
The GOAT.
Paul Rabel.
Ooh. Ooh. The innovator.
There you go. Oh, that's a good one. Oreos.
Eat it or beat it.
Okay. Scrunchies.
My Pride teammates.
There you go. That's it. That's all we have.
I love it.
Okay, Alex, thank you so much for coming on today.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been great. When I started this podcast, you were definitely like one of the first people on my list, and I'm very excited to be doing this. So thank you so much for coming on, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know why you're nervous. You absolutely crushed it. You're a great host. You did your research. You crushed it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.